Blog Talk Radio. Hello, and welcome to Literature Wednesdays with the Poetic Inklings of Tomorrow. The Poetic Inklings is brought to you by A Poetic Slice of Life, a group located on allpoetry.com and owned by my wonderful and lovely wife, Kay, who is sitting next to me multitasking as we speak.
Hello.
And I am her Wesley, Steven76. As I said, we're located on allpoetry.com. Check that website out. We have a lot of fun there, writing our poetry, writing stories, reading, talking with friends, just having a blast in the chat rooms. We want to thank Kevin and his crew for keeping that site up and running for us. This week on Inklings, we've decided to go just a little different, as we usually do quotes from famous authors or poets. This week we went with last words of famous people. They sound awful? For real?
I don't know.
I know there's some technical difficulties.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, hopefully she just means maybe your voice because you're stuffy.
Maybe. Yes,
stuffy.
okay.
Okay, there you go. Good, yeah.
All right, so we'll truck on.
Well, no, because when we first called in the blog talk, it said they're experiencing minor difficulties. But I don't know what the difficulties are.
Yeah, it took us 2 shots to get into the studio. But, yeah, so we're going to talk about famous people's last words, either written or spoken. So, I'm not sure. Oh, yes, a disclaimer.
Yeah?
A disclaimer. I'm getting there. Any poetry that we read tonight that the author is not present to read themselves, we did get expressed written permission from that author to read their work. I think that's it. That's it. So let's get some razzle dazzle in here and say hello to Raz.
How you doing, Steve? I came by to share my opinion on these poems.
Excellent. Glad to have you. One thing
Famous
for sure,
last
Raz is
words.
our excellent commentator.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see
Did
the one
anyone
up in the
try, I
topic
don't know,
folder?
like goodbye when it came to the last words?
That might be too simple, right?
That wasn't on the list.
No.
Well, you know, Wayne Gent, he said in the topic folder, George Washington's last words were indeed.
Indeed. That's all he said.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Some people were simple, I guess.
Yeah. That's what I told him. Wow, a brevity.
Well, yeah. There was, well, you know, from what we found, there was a lot of interest in a lot of people who passed away who are famous. Some interest in things they said before they passed away. I don't know if you wanted to share some of them.
You want me to share some of them?
Yeah.
First, before I share some of them, let's say hello to those that are out on the board. Let's say hello to Heavenly Angel and Jaskaran.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello
Hey,
out
Heavenly
there.
Angel, Jaskrin.
Out there in Poetry Land.
Yeah.
Both
All right,
poets are on like all the time on this blog.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I will read some of these last words. We'll start off with the one at the top. Frank Sinatra's last words were, "I'm losing it." Let's see, William Henry Seward said, "Nothing, only love one another." Nostradamus said, "Tomorrow at sunrise, I shall no longer be here." Leonardo da Vinci said, "I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." How about that? Okay, the next one from Johnny Ace. This could be taken comical, I suppose, but it's also pretty sad when he said, "I'll show you it won't shoot."
Yeah.
I guess the next one was Bang.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin said, "A dying man can do nothing easily." My personal favorite, a man on death row by the name of Thomas J. Grasso said, "I did not get my SpaghettiOs. I got spaghetti. I want the press to know this."
And they did.
Yeah. And then they fried him.
Yeah.
One of my favorite actors, Michael Landon, he said to his son, "You're right. It's time. I love you all." And the one that both Kay and I wrote to, John Wayne, he said, "Of course I know who you are. You're my girl. I love you." Yeah. Jack Sue, if you don't know who he is, he was on the show Barney Miller.
Yeah.
And he said his co-star, Hal Linden, as he was being wheeled in for emergency surgery, it must have been the coffee.
On set?
No, at the hospital.
At the
I guess, yeah, they rushed him to the hospital. He had emergency surgery, but didn't make it. Let's see, Groucho Marx said, "This is no way to live." Sir Winston Churchill said, "I'm bored with it all." James Brown said, "I'm going away tonight." Hey! Yeah, I don't know if he did that or not.
No, but maybe in heaven he is right now.
The one that Raz wrote to, Steve Jobs' last words were, "Oh, wow,
Oh, wow.
oh, wow."
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jimi Hendrix. These were written. That's why I had to say written as well.
That was his last
on
poem right before he died from the OD. I've seen that actual poem in the booklets of the CD cases that are mostly his music.
Oh,
well,
okay.
Would you like to read the line?
Sure, I will. The story of life is quicker than the blink of an eye. The story of love is hello and goodbye until we meet again. Yeah. Let's see, Bob Marley. Money can't buy life, Mon.
No.
It doesn't say Mon, but I had to put that in there.
Yeah.
Of course, one of my favorite actors, of course, Leonard Nimoy, since I am a Trekkie. A life is like a garden. Perfect moments can be had, but not preserved, except in memory. That's logical.
It is.
And everybody can guess what Jack Daniels' last words were. One last drink, please. Let's see. Mozart. The taste of death is upon my lips. I feel something that is not of this earth. And some of those...
That's paranormal.
Yeah. Some of these can be really sad. I actually choked up a tear when I saw some of them, like John Belushi. Just don't leave me alone.
He was left alone.
Yes.
The heartbreaker right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sam Cooke, another one that got a chuckle out of Kay.
Sorry.
Lady, you shot me. And Chris Farley, another tearjerker who actually idolized John Belushi and tried to follow in his footsteps, pretty much did, as his last words were, "Please don't leave me." Bill Hicks, love Bill Hicks' stand-up comedy. And it said that it was like 48 hours before he passed away. He said, "I've said all that I've had to say," and he never said another word.
Wow.
For the last 2 days he was alive. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth, the Big Bopper, said he's going over the valley.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. So we got some pretty good poems for it, too.
Yeah, we do.
It sounds like Babe Ruth meant he was going to heaven. I mean, he must have seen the white clouds and God right there, right before him in the valley.
Yeah, that's what I would think, too.
Yeah. That's true.
This is quite an emotional blog to go through the last words. I mean, real deep stuff here.
Yes. Yes, it is. Well, it was because of you that we came across it, Raz. You were the one that brought up Emily Dickinson's last words, and that brought me to the site that had all these quotes, and we thought, hell, we can do a show on this.
Well, yeah, because there's so many that, we came across. Yeah.
Something along the lines of, "The fog is rising. They will let us in." Emily Dickinson's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was actually pretty profound, too.
Yeah.
I used that last week in my Oh, yeah.
So we got to get into poetry.
Sure thing. Some Heavenly Angels on the board.
I have to refresh.
Yes, you should.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. And this is by Heavenly Angel, and the quote used were, "This is no way to live," and "Just don't leave me alone," and "I've said all I've had to say." And this is by Heavenly Angel, and it's called "Hold On." Tonight, with words unspoken, you say that I'm the only one. But will my heart be broken when the night meets the morning sun? Well, if you no longer care for me, I won't beg you to stay with me. I've said all that I've had to say. This is no way to live, wondering if you love me or if I'm just another notch on your bedpost. If you don't love me, lie to me. Because, baby, you're the one thing I believe. Let it all fall down around us, but that's what's meant to be. Right now, if you don't love me, lie to me. It's hard to find myself in this position. Just don't leave me alone. But I'm scared that I'll go crazy once you're gone. It's a bitch, but life's a roller coaster ride. The ups and downs can make you scream sometimes. It's hard to leave and that the thrill is gone. But we got to go around again, so let's hold on. And on.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was a wonderful and original take on the prompt. Only Angel could take last words and kind of a poem of love and longing. But some of the metaphor that she put in here, I really, really like. The roller coaster ride. How true is that? The ups and downs throughout the year. It's like, as usual, she got carried away, she says. But no, I also see, okay, yeah, there it is. As I say, I saw some songs in there, too, and I see that down there at the bottom that she also said, "Lie to Me" from Bon Jovi, Hold Me, Help Me Hold On by Travis Tritt, Angel of the Morning by Juice Newton. Wow, Juice Newton.
Yeah.
And Will You Love Me Tomorrow from the Shirelles. This really good songs. And a really great poem, Sandy. Thank you. Thank you very much. What did you think of it, Raz?
Yeah, this is filled with plenty of metaphor on not trying to lose the one you love the most and hoping their love stayed true. With the song references, it further emphasizes the whole movement of just that, wanting to hold on, because you only got today, and if they don't come forward with you, if they're holding something back, then you better hope that you also have tomorrow.
Yes, indeed.
That's true.
Yeah. What'd you think, hon?
Well, I like, she's like me. Lately, we kind of emulate each other with how we write, it seems, because I like her style of writing. So I've been incorporating my own new way of trying to write, well, incorporating what I see as well, what she does. It's been a long time since I've listened to Travis Tritt, so I thought that was pretty cool. I used to listen to country all the time, but after the 90s, I kind of stopped because it started going on its own direction that I feel is not complete country right now. But, I love the choice of songs because those are beautiful. And the quotes that she chose, too, because, as I told her, the right itself, it has its own emotional depth. It's like singing a song to another's heart to just listen and to stay and hold on. Kind of what I've been saying to you in my own way.
Yeah.
About time.
Yeah, I know.
And this last week, as time's moving fast, and I want more time. But the words itself, they're always beautiful. They're from the heart, and you never get carried away, Heavenly Angel. It's always
awesome.
Yeah. It always, in one way or another, speaks to somebody's heart. So that's a good thing. If we can write something and it speaks to somebody, then it means you did something right. And that's the good thing about writing. If you can reach out and, be able to find something that relates to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get this next one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I was going to get that.
Call me Angel of the Morning, Heavenly Angel.
Just call me Angel in the morning. Yeah, now you got to be thinking Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool, that's right. They played that song in the movie. But it was in such a different light.
Oh, yeah, he's killing people while they're playing that song. I know, it's great.
That's such a good movie. It's been a while.
Yeah, I still have to see part 2.
Yeah, I know.
I'm behind.
You are. Okay, I'll read this last one before you boys take your turns reading. And that's since Jeff Grant's on the board too. I wanted to get to them in case they flit away.
He is on the other side of the world.
Yeah. Okay, which one? Oh, okay. Jeff Duran wrote to the quote by Rainier Maria Rilke.
Yeah.
I don't want the doctor's death. I want to have my freedom. And this is called I Choose My Own Death. The breaking news has been pronounced by the priest of the hospital. I have been diagnosed with rare Wilson's disease. Please, God, let me break a wind and these words vanish in the mist. What have I turned deaf? Oh, come on. I am only 31 years old. I haven't even lived my life. I have yet to find, kiss, and give a hot therapeutic massage to my life. I don't want to be confined in the four walls of a hospital. Savor tasty salad and mouth-watering pills. Those dreaded-looking nurses coming to suck the blood every hour. The only thought races through my mind. A man marrying her would have to bear the torture and the accompanying pills. What about my Hawaiian honeymoon? I will get a nervous breakdown if I see the enormous bills. Going for a stroll through woods, listening to the birds chirping. Watching the sun go down, life is so much fun. Taking lonely walks along the beach, making sandcastles, while thinking of my proposal poem that would leave my wife speechless, soaking up the sun. We all die. The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will, and poem.
Yes, yes. I like this. I like, well, first off, I really like the humor that Jaskaran put in this here and there because he and I apparently think
I only
alike
saw
about
drama,
movies.
you saw humor. I mean, completely opposite minds.
Yeah. But, yeah, where he talks about the blood-sucking nurses, because, yeah, I definitely have used that line a couple times over the last week.
Yeah, and I've had to tell you, suck it up.
And the fact that, where is it at? The only thought racing, the man marrying her would have to bear the torture, yes. And where's the other one that kind of cracked me up? Oh, savoring the tasty salad and mouth-watering pills. How delicious those are. Yes, but this is great. It actually made me think of my father because when he was diagnosed as terminal, he did not want to spend his remaining days at the hospital, and he did get what he wanted. He was able to pass away at home, so that was nice. So I guess
Yeah. His final wishes were to pass away in his home, and everybody makes that possible for him.
Yeah, but this is a great write, Jask. Appreciate the share. Yeah, and I see that Deb walked in. Hello, Deb.
How you
Hi,
doing,
Stephen.
Deborah?
Hey, Kay.
Hello.
Anybody else in there?
Nope, that's it right now.
It's,
And Raz.
yeah.
Hi, Raz.
It's me, Deb.
I didn't want to miss
Did
anybody.
you hear?
Can I comment on Jackson?
Good to hear
Sure,
all
go
three.
right ahead.
Yeah.
You too.
Yeah, I think this is a very good piece in which he's confessing about the fact that he's been diagnosed with Wilson's disease. So, in an earnest light, although it may or may not happen that he meets his future wife, that it's emotionally inspiring for the man to overcome his sickness and try to at least strive towards a more realistic goal than always having to go through hospitalization and therapy. He's a motivation amongst the health community and the health department.
Yeah, definitely. Deb, did you hear Jessica?
That line, if you have to create something that will live on forever, that's about having children. Obviously read the right way. Why he has to find that wife. So I pray and hope that the best comes out for him from this Wilson's disease.
Yeah, we all do. That's for sure. Excellent comment. Did you hear Jess's poem, Deb?
I did. I was listening to Kay read. For one, this is like so outstanding, and I totally agree with so many parts. I mean, the last thing I want to do is be confined in those four walls, listening to all the monitors and waiting to die. I mean, it's true they come and they poke you and prod you, and there's no such thing as any rest in a hospital, let alone sound sleep. And it's like, of course we don't ever want to die, but it would be so much better to do it in your own way, in your own place, rather than chained to a IV or something, or on machines. And the ending, we all die. The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will. That is like such an amazing, amazing way to close it off. Excellent piece.
Excellent comment. Yeah, and I definitely agree with everything you said, and what Rash said too. What do you think, hon?
Yeah,
That's
I
where the
like
kids come in. They live on forever for you and go on having kids.
That's right. That's a bit of immortality.
If you're lucky, yes.
If you're lucky. Yeah,
I have four.
Yeah. I have one, but I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly, but I feel confident in my heart that grandchildren are not coming into play.
Yeah, he refuses to procreate.
Well, no, I mean his health issues too.
Yeah.
I don't think being a grandma's in my cards. So while I have a child, I think that's where it ends too. I like the ending quote. where he says we all die. The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will. Because, that, while it does speak of that, I also see it as creating a life, while we're here that's beautiful. Because we're here for a short time. It's up to us to live the life that we want to and hopefully reach out to others in ways of how we have lived the life. But I also like the humor that he interjected as well, because I do feel that in life we need to know how to be funny as well and be able to smile and laugh about certain things. And I just thought this was wonderful right all around, because in his comment back to me, he did say that there are three things in life. He wanted to say that life is too short to smile while you have peace. And then 2, create fond memories with everyone. And then 3, live a meaningful life with a sprinkle of humor. So I think that's pretty cool, because I do feel a day without one smile or laughter is a wasted day.
You don't get those days around here very often. We're always laughing.
Yeah, that's a good day.
Yeah. Sorry about the sniffles, everyone.
Yeah, that's the start of today.
Yeah. And I've been on sinus medication. Go figure.
Yeah.
All right, Deb, I bet you have to read and run, so we're going to drop your poem in the room. And there it is.
Thank you. All right. Where did here it is to read. Let me refresh. There it is. Okay. All right. So I had saw this quote about a person, and when I got to, although I have to say before I read, some of those quotes you listed, oh my goodness. Like, for example, when Gates said, wow, it was like, really, it touched me. I can't explain how much. But so did Michael Landon and John Wayne. Oh, I was crying.
Yeah.
So, man, I was a mixed bag of emotions with that. So I went and grabbed that quote that I had and went with divine retribution, kind of. Anyway, it's called From His Crass Lips to a Full Circle Rod. And here we go. On a flight chartered for tonight, to glide on air just like a kite, darkness falls to the blinding light, warm and round, glowing bright white. No feathers lift me up into the sky or cradle me in white clouds as I die, for on a breeze soaring swift and high, 2 arms dress in wings like the butterfly. As a gray shroud blocking violet explodes on wings now soaking wet, a child catches me inside her string net, and on a corkboard my pinned wings set. Cocooned under this crystal glass, kids study me in entomology class. Spread eagle with a moth green as grass, in this full circle, payback drop kicks my ass. And Paul.
Wow.
My reasoning behind that is because this guy was like a real pompous male chauvinist. He looked down on women writers, and he collected butterflies that he stuck with the pins and matted them and then stuck them in a drawer. And it just seemed like a fitting ending for him, so I went wild with the poem.
The Russian
There you
Vladimir
go.
Also a
Nabokov?
poet. I'm sorry?
You mean this Russian Vladimir Nabokov in the footnotes?
Yep.
Well, for the most part, when describing the life of a butterfly, this is not what I see, but actually the contrary, how butterflies tend to exist throughout nature in a very natural way, and all that really goes full circle in a way that it finally harms the living being happens to be human, but not butterflies or other species throughout nature. They're too balanced with the ecology to know this part of karma that comes upon the narrator. It's almost like they would be as free as the butterfly's wings, but somehow are really nailed to the ground.
No, what I was saying is that he became the butterfly, and then he got caught in a net, just like he used to catch them. And now he ends his days pinned to a board, just like a butterfly. It was a...
You can keep the specimen, but I mean, what butterflies are essentially in nature is not anything that really knows such enslavement, but already has a certain state of freedom through that transcendence of existing simply because it has to, out of natural laws. I mean, you can't just...
Okay, but it wasn't about the butterfly. It was about the rude guy.
The metaphor out of the butterfly that it stops being freedom because of one bad writer to you, Nabokov, and he did not like women, and who else knows what else if his spare time was spent just keeping specimens of these creatures because it gave him a kind of derivative pleasure.
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't know.
He does not sound all that well in the head, even having the butterfly specimens. But on the other hand, not to look down upon those who die, and even if those were his last words, it seems that maybe he did like the species, because here the quote was, "A certain butterfly is already on the wing." So whatever pessimistic views he had upon the opposite sex, it was more of a fixation that he would try to become the butterfly somehow, even in his death, if those were the last words he said before he died. And there's kind of irony to the whole thought, including you describing in the poem that no matter how much higher he thought he was going to fly, all that happened was that the body came to rest.
Right.
Yeah. Me, I do like this, Deb. I thought it was, especially towards the end there, it did tickle me for him to get that kind of a payback. Me, when I was a kid, I always had a butterfly net, but I always thought it was wrong to pin them. So I just kind of caught and released. So anybody that did that, in my opinion, I don't know. It was the same with, I had friends that like to blow up bullfrogs. It's like, why? Why do you do that kind of stuff? So that's what it made me think of, and how maybe karma comes back and gets them. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. Cool, right?
Awesome. Thanks.
What do you think, Kay?
Well, yeah, I have not heard of this person, and I think that's pretty cool that you're able to bring this person to your right as well, and interject butterflies too, and the fact that it came full circle like it did.
Yeah.
So I think that in itself is pretty cool how you were able to bring all that and do make it come full circle. So yeah, pretty cool. I like it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this, and I know you got my message, so I guess I know you have a show later on with Lady A. If you wanted to plug that, but you might want to give her a heads up. It might take a couple times getting into the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll have her check it out, and she wants you to pick one of your favorite poets' poems and write what it inspires. So it should be a great show. And thanks for squeezing me in, guys. I'm going to go. Love and respect.
Love and respect, Deb. Take care.
Thanks for visiting.
Yeah.
Was that the hang-up noise? I mean, that's going to stay on the blog.
What's this?
What's that?
There was that hang-up noise right over everything else that's on this channel. But Deb's right, really does have a certain fascination. Nabokov, I've heard of him, but I've never read any of his work. So, she's at least bordering along actual sophistication, it seems. It's a shame that Crash is all she sees of Nabokov, because only she would have her own literate opinion of his mind.
Well, all of us, we brought something, and we kind of interjected our thoughts to the quote.
Yeah, I mean, I think her right was more satirical.
Steve Jobs was really considered a very bad person, but he did miracles with Apple technology. So I try not to look down on him, nor his last words when I did my piece.
Well, everybody brings their own opinion with their right, too.
Yeah.
Everyone has their sin when it comes to fame, especially famous people. I mean, those kinds of people you don't ever forget. Whatever wrongs they did, that's just like plagiarized on tabloids for all eternity, it seems. Because they're officially on the record, not the rest of the population.
Okay. Yeah. Or as I told Wayne, there's no right or wrong way to go about it. Because Wayne was worried last night.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have anything, and I told him there's no right or wrong way. It's how it speaks to you.
That's right.
Of course, Wayne brought the fun.
Yep. Well, speaking of Steve Jobs, how about you read us your poem, Raz?
That would be absolutely no problem. Let me just press this hyperlink real quick. The contrition of Steve Jobs. What can go wrong with the surefire hit? Microsoft Windows, a monopoly, and the free information is really legit. Free movie downloads don't harm no one to build social paranoia. When the FBI gonna break down the front door and interrogate the usual suspects. Georgetown is a sport buzz for locker-up rooms and the rapist boys out many kits. Yet we are advised to handle the data by our own discretion before the Me Too movement has another tweeter storm fit, where text messages are towed off by the Associated and National Press for involuntary promotions of big business. When the whole movement is pressed along worldwide like iPhone devices, of course, there were a couple of minor bugs which cannot be fixed. Every citizen the tools for spying on the camera and notebook apps had eyes come fuller open to the handheld grips in the neighborhood walk or the drift of various remote locations. The competent means of self-defense in documenting this project, multi-billion-dollar progress, is in the consumer control to population growth. Each turn, another ominous and anonymous group armed with the counter-espionage reader and privacy of the network modem limited. But despite heightening the security protocols easy reach, foreign powers and national computer specialists, uneasy to stranger banking log-on services, and the legendary shutdown of public facilities and government systems for the cyber terrorists at the fine hour, advanced science requires changing the former diametric. Wow. Oh, wow. PC digital age formulated. Can you trace all the signals manifold on the individual base pulsating? iCloud, even think tanks, can intake so much trillion by trillion gigabits of known storage. End poem. Society and Technology Adult. And this is inspired by his final line, which was, oh wow, the tech giant, who later on, after Apple lost to Microsoft, somehow redeemed himself through iSmart technology.
Yes, he did indeed. This made me think of the internet itself, actually, though, when I read it, and how I'm pretty sure it was started off as a business for business purposes, but then it actually got perverted into other things. Granted, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, they both did wonderful things with it. I mean, there's so many things, like you had said in your comment back to me. You and I wouldn't even met if it wasn't for the internet. So I mean, there's definitely good things about it.
Yep. What brings people together. It also affects how business is done. All kinds of ways of changing society in the last couple of 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Yes, it has. But then there are those hiccups that are out there that I had mentioned, like you mentioned in the poem, too, the fact that people have the ability to spy on your webcam and stuff, and actually Kay has a piece of paper folded over the laptop Squad camp so nobody can peek at us if it happens. Because our virus protected it said
they can also
that
watch
is
it
not
through your
protected.
TV sets at home, but no one wants to think about that while they're flipping channels and going through cable surf.
Yeah. Yeah, but this was an excellent right. An excellent right to Steve Jobs. Those last words. Well done.
I admire the man despite his ill repute.
Yeah.
I really like smart technology, I wasn't first in line every time there was a new upgrade to the system, the 5G
the iPhone.
or the iPhone's latest S6 or S12, but somehow it's something I've grown accustomed to using in my personal life, so that's where I learned to kind of like the thought of Steve Jobs. Despite, in fact, although it's not well known, he did have a bad reputation among his fellow colleagues who kind of envied the fact that he could always come out from the bottom and raise himself all the way to the top.
That's something a lot of people envy, even in the smallest type venue.
Well, yeah.
I myself have never owned an Apple product, so I haven't used an Apple product since I was in high school. We had the Apple IIs in computer class.
Yeah.
And that was before Steve Jobs took over anything. But anyway, let's get you another comment here from my wife. Kay, what do you think?
Well, I think that's cool. In the beginning, what you guys were talking about. About how, despite what's happened, can rebuild himself back up because he has the capability to do that. Not everybody has it in them to build themselves back up from the beginning in business. Sometimes when you had your one shot, that's it. But sometimes there are those people that can stay the course and they can build it back up.
Right. Whoever designed the Falconer and the Condor Air, they're like in the past, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are the ones that you should always keep an eye on because those are the ones that have determination and they have a lot of fire in them to succeed despite what others may see, which means they'll also do great things with what they give on to other people as what he was able to do in his lifetime. And his lifetime was very short. I know he had a lot of health issues before he passed away because he was still very young when he passed away. But I like how you touched on certain aspects too, because that is the thing too. While we live in a very connected world, we also live in a world where everything is too accessible, where security can be a risk at times.
Yeah.
But then there's that thing where there's too much out there as well.
Yeah.
Of what people share, what people do, and then hacking, and it has its good side and its bad side with the internet.
Yeah. Well, everything has a good side and bad side, I suppose.
It does, yeah. You got to think the good and the bad. It's just, over the years, we've had to learn ourselves how to be more cautious online. Because we fell prey to hacking a few different times and, having our account being hacked into and charges and stuff. So, I mean, there's so many different ways that online one can fall victim to stuff because of other people's actions.
Yeah.
But the right itself is pretty cool because it doesn't encompass his career, what he was able to succeed, but it also speaks of society and fears. As well.
I try to stick with the times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was either this or James Belushi about Don't Leave Me Alone, but I don't want to force myself to cry going through that kind of torment on final last words. So with Steve Jobs, there was a kind of, all-knowing sort of mind, a genius that realized even if it had come to death, that was just going to be the next level.
Yeah.
There was more of a positive side somehow than some of the other last quotes. So I thought, why not?
Yeah.
there was a lot of great quotes we chose for tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Where did you want to go next, son?
Oh, I was going to have you read Phil the Poet, because his was pretty cool with what he interjected with the right and the and.
The ands. So you want me to read the ands?
Yeah, because it brings the words to life more so.
Yes, he wrote the one that we didn't include. Actually, I was thinking about including it, but I didn't. But it's okay because we said you could bring one. He wrote to the last words of Edgar Allan Poe, and he said, "Lord, help my poor soul." And you want me to read the ands or the poem first, son?
The ands first, because they bring the words to life more.
All right. He wrote of Poe's last days. On October 3rd, 1849, Poe was found delirious on the streets of Baltimore, in great distress and in need of immediate assistance, according to Joseph W. Walker, who found him. He was taken to the Washington Medical College, where he died on Sunday, October 7th, 1849, at 5 o'clock in the morning. He was not coherent long enough to explain how he came to be in his dire condition, and oddly, was wearing clothes that were not his own. He is said to have repeatedly called out the name Reynolds on the night before his death, though it is unclear to whom he was referring. Some sources say that Poe's final words were, "Lord, help my poor soul." All medical records have been lost, including his death certificate. And Phil, the poet, titled this, "A Raven's Poor Soul." He soared on poetic wings through dark clouds of literature, weaving images that created a Gothic world of inspiration. On the crow's road to Philadelphia, his mind full of painful imagery, the wind pushes him deeper into the night, sending his thoughts into oblivion. Waking up in Baltimore in a world of confusion, his poor soul pecked out by regrettable words, a raven with clipped wings staggers the streets in garments of deathbed grandeur. Fluttering back and forth in an antiseptic cage, wings broken under sheets of despair, a wandering mind quoting a poetic utterance that no future generation will ever hear. The last flight of the raven is filled with a mystery, a darkened world created from a haunted quill, a raven's piercing cry of lost delirium calling out, "Reynolds, where are you, my friend?" "Lord, help my poor soul," flows from the poet's mouth. The raven is set free, spreading its wings, taking flight, escaping from a poet's darkened imagination. No more rapping on my chamber door. End poem.
Brilliant.
Yes.
What you have here is finally the whole mystery and essence of Edgar Allan Poe, brought to you in part by this poet, Phil. I mean, he describes it in every detail. One of his most outstanding poems had been The Raven, and so it seems when that door shuts that he was on that hospital bed in Washington Medical College. That's when The Raven no longer was rapping the way he had written. And connecting those lines, you generate a kind of sort of unknown legend, even that his birth certificate's in the author's note or his death certificate was completely lost. Any record that he had ever taken place here except for the books. And that just makes it all the more anonymous, the harder to trace into any kind of substantial law except for going through Poe and trying to piece it out together of his narratives. What kind of mystery was there to this man, and how much darker was his soul for him to ask for it to find redemption on that very deathbed?
Yeah, I agree. I like the way Phil wrote this. He kind of wrote it like from a perspective of somebody who was actually there, kind of way, kind of really brought us into the whole ordeal, and also at the same time quoting
very last waking hours. Yeah, he did a brilliant job with this rate.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I definitely thought this was really, really cool. What do you think, hon?
Well, yeah, I do think this was a pretty unique write because the circumstances pertaining to his death were mysterious to begin with. And the way that he was found. The fact that nobody could understand or know how he was in that condition. You know, I feel he gave a heck of a backstory because I was not aware of his final moment. So I thought that was unique in itself, that, you know, his last moments were one of the stressful ones. The ride itself, yeah, it kind of blew me away. You know, Phil has that capability.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'm not overstepping here. I am going to share something I saw somebody wrote in their comments. A fellow user said, "Isn't it known that he was had bouts of fight and depression, which led to a lot of his dark poems, and that he possibly used certain substances to help with it?" And the speculation was, could he have been trying to find his dealer or a contact and maybe gone in severe withdrawal that led to his death? Or maybe something happened?
Reynolds must have been there on that night because he owed a lot of debts, was another thing in Baltimore towards the last of his life. So that must have been someone who he owed money to and might have been even responsible for him falling ill and then dying shortly afterwards. Why those very words were being repeated by him all the way into Washington Memorial.
Yeah.
Yeah. His death actually sounds more of a suspicious nature, like, other factors
Reynolds
came into. Yeah.
Yeah.
But seeing as it was so long ago, only,
Only the dead know.
Yeah, only the dead know. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing to share, and the fact all around, I thought that was pretty unique.
I thought maybe he had some leftovers and he was looking for aluminum foil.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I had to do it.
Yeah. Nah, I thought it was right. It was pretty cool. Because a lot of writers, especially because he did write a lot of dark. In order to write that way, you have to know elements of the dark.
Yeah.
So yeah, hell of a writer, hell of a write, hell of a story.
Yeah.
And had a substantial opium habit, like you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely would lead somebody down a dark path.
Yeah. Rez, would you like to read M.W. Steigers for us?
Yeah, I can read the next poem on the list, but I have to refresh my page for just 1 second. You know, his wife died young. That's another part of the Poe tragedy.
Oh,
Emily
yeah,
was
I
the
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote about her a lot.
From Mark Steigers, Ego Prison. General Custer's last words spoke with intent as he looked on to the great Sioux nation. Custer's luck, biggest Indian village on the continent. His ego led to his annihilation. I bet you know someone who just can't connect. They do something they know they should not. You please to stop, they reject. The angel of death they taunt. Tell me, are you so afraid that they will die from choices they made, leaving you to cry? If they fail, do you grieve? It's defeat to face death. Do they just fail to see all the many regrets? Did they leave us too soon? Why did we let these things be? Late we learned their tune, after they were set free. And now you are denied their worldly presence. Their death implies, who cares where they went? And now that they're gone, do you miss them? Where were you long before this so chism? Could you breach the isolation of self? Could you reach beyond your wealth? No matter what we say, you're never free of the system. They are too far away, and you're safe in your prison. The cold fact I deuce, no one cares for their life. Your excuse cuts like a knife. No one comes, and there I sit, waiting for some to care just a bit. On Death by Mark Steigers.
Yeah. Yeah, and he said the quote that he wrote to was of course Custer's last words, which you read so well, Raz. I like how you kind of enacted it. Yeah, that's definitely almost like I'll show you it doesn't shoot kind of thing. But I really like this poem. It made me think actually of Elvis Presley when he sang "Wise Men Say Only Fools Rush In," and how true that is. Some people just don't think before they act, and I mentioned in my comment to him, I said, another set of famous last words. Do you know?
What?
Hold my beer and watch this. This is very profound.
Yeah, Presley's was
think,
going to the bathroom to read.
Yes.
After he OD'd with all those pills that night on stage.
Yep. Well, what did you think of the poem, Raz?
Here you have not so much just the historical moment of Custer's last stand and how he's taken by the Sioux, and they themselves win that battle, but further along in the verses, the writer ponders, does anyone even care anymore these days to give memoriam unto the dead? And I find that significant because we should at least respect or have some thought of mind of those who came before us to know that their memories too are part of why we have our current day history. So it's an important message. I like Steiger's writing.
Cool. What do you think, hon?
Well, I think this was pretty cool because in the first stanza, he pretty much says it all, that his ego led to his annihilation.
Yeah.
He came storming in with his ego, overinflated, and the actions that incurred because of it, as the right does speak of. How many people in life, they rush in because their ego is too big, and then they end up making huge mistakes that you cannot take back. And, the right, it definitely says that. I like the closing stanzas, the cold fact, I do. No one cares for their life. Your excuse cuts like a knife. That could definitely speak to the ego and, trying to explain the actions, why you did it, and why you felt it was justifiable. The right itself, I thought, it was unique. And as I told him, it speaks of actions that have taken from others carelessly, not thinking about the cost, the regret, and the price being a heavy one that has to be paid. As ego of one can be a downfall if they rush in with the attitude of knowing it all, when in the end it only gives damage that can't be undone.
Yeah.
I mean, that could easily be said to life to this day, because sometimes, you have that overinflated ego and you think you could do this, you could do that, you could say this. And it usually creates its own, whirlwind of moments because of that.
Yeah.
But that's cool that he brought that one, because that one was another right where they brought their own quotes. So that definitely was pretty cool as well.
Yeah. Check the studio.
Check the studio, I think. Nobody feel why.
Okay. Just making sure.
Why? Somebody say something?
Oh, no. I see that my sister's out on the board.
Oh.
So if I ever say hello to her.
Oh, okay.
She needs a link. I'll get her the link.
Yeah, okay. But I think the cooties are wearing off on me.
I hope not.
Yeah, I know. So I'm sniffling. Yeah, this is a pretty cool right. I'm glad that he brought that, because it's been a while since he participated, and he brought an amazing right too. Definitely speaks of society in itself. So how about that?
Yeah.
I'm willing to do Mabelle's request on reading her poem. I read that on the actual blog site.
Yes.
Yes. She did request because she's feeling a bit under the weather.
Yeah. Yes.
But she's here to listen.
Yeah. Well, if you want, I could get that up now, and then I'll read after that.
And
it's an
Angel's
all-cap
going
star, the ghost of Poe, the ghost of Steve Jobs, the ghost of who even knows anymore. But they must have been really witty before they died.
Yep. Let's say good night to Heavenly Angel. She says she's going to bed. So good night, Angel.
Yeah, good night. Good night.
Just call her Angel of the Morning.
Yeah, that too, Angel of the Morning.
Just call me Angel.
Long time. Okay. Then I'll drop this down now since he's right there. Then I'll bring it.
All right.
Okay.
Should I read the poem then? Just Don't Leave Me Alone?
Yep.
This would be along the lines of James Belushi's final words, right? Or Farley's?
John.
And who wants to be left alone that way? Yeah.
Yeah.
John Belushi. I will never forget. Just don't leave me alone. I know how you artfully restore my lips by snatching the rainbow's hue. You place them on the palette and skillfully mix its colors like a mad painter before stroking the void, filling lines with vivid memories. I can remember the time I had to pause just to close my eyes for a moment, savoring the breath of my dream, licking all dripped chances, memorizing its sweetness, concocting its aftertaste. And I will never get tired of that, of remembering. And I always carry you in me, how I imagine your hand, the one that fused my broken pieces, lovingly cupped with mine. Moments filled with longing. Yes, they are painful, but always beautiful. Just the thought of holding your hand while tracing the stars, building our constellation. The scenery of you and I in the future, ours. Just don't leave me alone while I'm still dreaming. My stars are in love under the northwest sky. That I will never forget.
Yes.
Julie
What
Buck.
did you think, Ren?
This does justice in itself to the line about not being left alone, although Belushi inspired what could have been from a quote. This is a separate work of art on how you want someone to acknowledge the fact that you're never going to forget them no matter what happens. And even if the years separate you, that love has no way of ceasing, whether of life or of death. All that which you cannot forget, that very person. I mean, these are honest and genuine words that they will not be forgotten. And I find that to be an extremely well put and romantic gesture to muse on anyone underneath the northwest sky, and knowing their memory will always be intact in you, no matter the leagues of distance.
Indeed, excellent comment. That's the thing I love about poetry. Everybody can have their own interpretation, because I saw having a dream about a loved one that has passed on and just not wanting that dream to end. And of course, you'll never forget them, especially if the connection was so strong. I thought that Bella is always a beautiful writer, and this is no exception. It's her way with words is just amazing, and I always like her form too. The way she spaces it out, it kind of gives it a little more. What's the word?
Yeah, more meaning, more depth.
There you go. What do you think, hon?
Well, yeah, I'm focusing on a certain word because the quote, she actually took it in a different direction. Just don't leave me alone while I'm still dreaming. My stars are in love under the northwest sky that I will never forget. That says a lot right there. And because the quote itself, in the context it was said it was, in a different light. And this one has its own beauty and radiance to it, actually.
Yeah.
So I see what you were saying there about just don't leave me alone while I'm still dreaming, because it does speak of a beautiful dream that you don't want to wake from just yet, but don't leave me alone, because right now in this dream everything is perfect. As in dreams, I am in love and everything is as it should be.
Yeah.
It definitely is a beautiful right, because, with what you said, in dreams, if we're having a good one, it's a beautiful one we don't want to wake from. And those usually are the ones that don't happen too often and they don't last too long. The bad dreams seem to be ones that want to come into play more so. So when you have these lovely dreams, they're ones you just don't want to wake from just yet. And I definitely see that from the right. So, I thought it was a beautiful one all around because, as you said, with poetry, we can all take it in our own direction. But I see the more lovelier side of it.
Yeah. Somehow Sister said she missed it.
Oh, well, she probably was busy.
Yeah. But she said she will listen in the playback.
Yeah.
She can hear Raz read her poem.
Yeah, because he did. It's there. It is. And she said her net is slower than turtles. Well, we have the same provider. And today, our internet's been kind of slow, too, with them.
It has been, yeah.
So it probably is a thing with the provider.
They suck. We won't mention any names.
Oh, yeah.
Spectrum. Did I say that? I'm sorry.
He's checking it out. Yeah.
As long as Guccifer wasn't responsible, you're doing just fine. Not the Senate.
Yeah.
All right, you were going to read yours then?
Yeah, since I'm on the tangent of calling you an ass.
All right. Do it.
When you created, because you were the one who created the topic folder, you did the research for this one after we were talking about this show, because after Emily Dickinson, I said, ooh, we have to do this. And I didn't really take in the quotes until I looked at them. And if last week would have been different, I probably would have went a different way. But when I saw the John Wayne one, my eye stopped there and only stayed there. And, of course, the quote from John Wayne is, "Of course I know who you are. You're my girl. I love you." So that one has a lot of meaning to me. Right?
Yes.
Here I go. I call this unattainable faith. This brick of heart and mind, only you fully understand. Wilted petals of dust, blanketed with this connection, cradle our hearts as we hold one another. Spoken sonnets sung are woven shadows through the flames, gracefully becoming the love and protection of the night shared. Earth is salted through the weight of darkness, plaintive song only known to us. I knew you were the one. Season's woven tapestry beholds the frozen chill of the heart. Yesterday's nevermore linger in the air, stifling a breath. Tempest that raged within only you knew how to tame. Even the strength of a heart, stubbornness of will, was a man who knew how to handle her, revealing the vulnerability of her heart to him. A soul that burned like fire as only he knew, taking it all in. As the fire she emitted, he couldn't get enough. Seeing the beauty amongst the chaos, loving every flaw, laughing at her foolishness, as in his eyes he created every facet of her. His brick with heart and mind echoes, spoken sonnets sung. I knew you were the one. Season's woven tapestry is the beauty of a likewise tempest that raged within. Between doubt and fear, seeing the fiery spirit that was passionate, running free with it as it freed him. His soul was reborn, living for tomorrow, without fear. Through the storms of life that raged, the tempest burned, becoming a magnet to his steel, dancing in flames of acceptance, ignited love that knew no boundaries. Love is the start. Death brings the finality of the end. Love bringing the unknown. Of course I know who you are. You're my girl. I love you. Whisper I love you as we breathe for one another. Final moments cherished of a life, now etched with scars of heartache and fun.
Yeah. I like, of course, I don't know. I mean, like I said on my comment on your poem, what more can I say except for I love you more than life itself?
I know. I love you too.
But I do
Very
love this
happily
poem.
married, Stephen K. They're a motivation for relationships that are on the rock.
Thank you. Yeah. I really don't know what else to say about this because it is a story of us, and you've told me how many times that day at my sister's wedding reception, that's the day you knew
Yeah, I had that little voice in my head.
that I was the one you were going to marry.
Yeah.
I'm glad that little voice spoke up.
Yeah. Well, it only spoke to me. I didn't say it
Yeah,
at
I
that
know.
time.
It could have just been destiny. It could have been more than just a little voice.
I would agree.
Yeah.
What did you think of the poem, Raz?
That this is emotionally in depth to a relationship that has sufficient lasting value. Off of the quote of Wayne, there's not anything particular there. More what Kay did was sort of existentialize what it's like to be in a relationship in which everything is really set out that the person you're with had always been the one, the actual one to spend the rest of your life with, and being extremely fortunate to find that connection, since I see, like she states, how she's basing this on her own personal life experiences through the verses. Her style is not so much postmodernism, but a kind of existential and psychological view through what otherwise could just be metaphor. And all that's there in K.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I also see, I noticed that there are some songs kind of in there too, intertwined in there here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those songs that you seem to mention a lot when you write about us. But the one that always stands out, of course, is "You Are a Magnet, and I Am Steel."
Yeah. Walter Egan.
Yeah.
That's so old. It's from the 70s.
Yeah, but
How
it's
many
a
know
good
that
song.
one?
It's a good song.
It is a good one, yes. But like I said, after last week, that one I saw that one took on a deeper meaning. If last week would have been different, I probably would have wrote different.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I understand.
yeah.
Well, how about we put my answer?
Put your answer.
As I wrote to the same quote from John Wayne.
Well, yeah, I mean, you weren't originally, but then when we were at dinner, and probably the person next to us thought I was a jerk. They said, "Oh, you're such an ass. You're going to go this way after I went that way?"
Yeah, well, I thought about writing to the SpaghettiOs quote, and that must have been the coffee quote, but
yeah, I know.
I went with John Wayne. Of course, I know who you are. You're my girl. I love you. And it's a little bit of a brevity. It's called "Someone Embedded Deep Within My Soul." And it goes like this. You are the very thing that keeps me alive, my air, my nourishment, my water. Without you, I would cease to exist. Your gaze keeps my heart beating. Your voice keeps my lungs breathing. Your touch keeps my blood pumping. There is no one I know better or who knows me better. I know who you are. You're my wife. I love you.
Yeah.
End poem.
And you still could have wrote to the other poet too.
Yeah.
At that moment, it was like I went all serious and you're going all funny.
Poignant, thorough, and straightforward. This is modernism at its best. Steve's style of calligraphy, rather than existential like Kay. He just goes straight to the point. What keeps him alive happens to be his wife, and married men really do feel that way in these times. So that's an extra kudos point for Steve.
Thank you, Raz.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that, it does say what it comes from your heart. It does. Because, as I've been telling you, just keep listening to what I'm saying.
I listen to what you say.
No, I need to listen more so. Because you've been stubborn lately, so listen more so.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a beautiful write, and I understand where you're coming from. But yeah, you gotta listen. Because actually next year will be 25 years that we've been together. And in the grand scheme of life, 25 is a big number. That still seems small. So I don't want those numbers to end. So yeah, be mindful.
I will. We've got a ways to go.
I hope so. So okay. Since Bella didn't hear hers being read, how about we reread it for her?
Oh.
Since she's here right now, because she's been hearing everything.
Let's ask her. Bella, would you like Raz to reread your poem? Let's see what she say. I know there's a bit of a lag.
Yeah.
She's thinking, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could do it a second time. On Stephen K's marriage, I was reflecting all those anniversaries are building up into the very horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been having our own moments lately of reflecting because life is getting in the way and making you look at things.
Yeah.
So I'm not being cold. I'm just after last week. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, there was a bit of a health scare last week. We could just say that.
Well, there still is more. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta stop being secretive with me. Finally.
I didn't want to worry you.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Raz.
Do Mabella's poem again?
Yep.
Is that what you're asking a second time? Because
yes, please.
either way, she's not going to be left alone by those memories is what I learned the first time. But that was my interpretation of you. All right, let me refresh the board here for a second, which is getting awkward in these presentations if there's even these bit seconds and no filler.
It happens. We fill it up.
All right, Mabelle's poem is Don't Leave Me Alone, right? You wouldn't want to do that. Just don't leave me alone, like James or John Belushi had said to a security officer before he passed. So here we go, and now we'll never forget. Just don't leave me alone. I know how you artfully restored my lips by snatching the rainbow's hue. You place them on the palette and skillfully mix its colors like a mad painter before stroking the void, filling lines with vivid memories. I can remember the time I had to pause just to close my eyes for a moment, savoring the breath of my dream, licking all drip chances, memorizing its sweetness, concocting its aftertaste. And I will never get tired of that, of remembering. And I will always carry you in me. How I imagined your hand, the one that fused my broken pieces, lovingly cupped with mine. Moments filled with longing. Yes, they are painful, but always beautiful. Just the thought of holding your hand while tracing the stars, building our constellation. Scenery of you and I in the future, ours. Just don't leave me alone while I'm still dreaming. My stars are in love under the northwest sky. That I will never forget. End poem.
Well,
Yeah.
well, we should probably relieve comments in case she didn't hear.
Yeah, if you want to relieve your comment for her so she can hear it.
Yeah.
How she's touched upon the thought of memory and what will never be forgotten from the person who's being spoken to. I believe in the heart of what I see of the verses that they might have thought of leaving them alone, but some memories and some connections, they're meant to go on forever, even after death. And all that is beautifully expressed in these words.
I agree. Yeah, and like I said, I see a beautiful dream that you don't want to wake up from. We've all had those. I actually just had one last week where I dreamed that my best friend from high school and my father were with me, and I didn't want to wake up from that because I don't dream of them very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can definitely understand that aspect of it. How about you, hon?
Oh yeah, I can agree. Yeah, now that I heard it a second time, I can see two perspectives of it. Yeah, I can see the dream of not wanting to wake from because it's a beautiful dream. But also now I see in its own way the words as well. Well, it's a beautiful dream, but also saying don't leave me, meaning this dream is beautiful, so let's not let it end.
Yeah.
Don't leave me.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah.
Don't leave me.
Yeah. But yeah, the right itself, it definitely spoke in its own way, in a beautiful way. Yeah, because the quote itself, it was very sad because, it obviously was moments before he was doing drugs and he was left alone. And if he wasn't left alone, he would not have passed away, maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah. But yeah, those two quotes. But yeah, it's cool how a lot of people tonight, they took the quotes and they brought their own meaning to it because they brought something unique and different. And that's what Bella did. She took the quote that was sad and she turned it into something that's meaningful.
Yeah. Well, we did that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. People last week probably thought that I was weird crying over my damn sandwich. But it is what it is.
Yeah. In Arby's.
I got what Mabel wrote that I can read her poem better when she wrote the words. I mean, I can take so much flattery, but her voice is really French and romantic to go about the same stanzas. I mean, it's all her.
Yeah.
But thanks, Mabel.
Yeah. Very beautiful, right? Yeah, but I couldn't on the first go catch on that second aspect that I just said about asking that person not to leave because it's a beautiful dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. All around, it's beautiful, right?
I grabbed one.
You grabbed one. Okay. Well, I am gonna read this one by June Johnson. My tab open. Okay. And the quote that June chose was a few, actually. The same one that Jaskaran used. I don't want the doctor's death. I want to have my freedom. And then Nostradamus, tomorrow at sunrise, I shall no longer be here. Leonardo da Vinci, I have offended God and mankind. Does my work
That's
not
true.
reach the
Such
quality of
genius,
evil?
Nostradamus. Being that
Yes.
specific. Tomorrow, well, I'm going to be dead. Literally
Yes.
tomorrow.
And then he also used James Brown, I'm going away tonight. So that's pretty cool. From the quotes that she was able to interject with her rights. And of course, this is by June Johnson. And this is called I Am Your Last Will and Testament. He said poetry is the enemy of religion, and hope, confusing scripture for crowds. Crucifying the written word above our bed with a crown of wet thorns picked from ragweed gardens of 100 dying virgins left out in the sun. Drops of blood fall on my sleep. I am your last will and testament, written on a piece of cardboard, begging for spare change. A sidewalk poet within 3,000 square feet of beige suburbia, singing Ave Maria on bended knees. I only pray when you are not around, waiting for morphine, salty drip, drip, to return me to mother. Who will catch my last breath, the spider or firefly? Tonight, I face sunrise alone. No web, no light, no God, and phone.
Yeah, that was pretty powerful. I'm going to defer the first comment to Raz because I have to mute the phone real quick. Raz, what do you think of the poem?
Here you have someone admitting to being the last will and testament of not only their bloodline, but whoever else they met throughout life. And these words are very powerful because she admits during that final sunset that there was no webs or lights or gods that were waiting for her to cross over to the other light. And I find that to be quite spiritual, even if this was just on the subheading of death. The writer, June Johnson, captures upon elements of spirituality that it waits one final moment to finally die as nothing else but the testament and will of all mankind. And that would be my comment point.
Excellent comment. Yeah, I definitely think that this was very powerful and very cool. The imagery is very sad, very dark as well. Yeah. The stanza that really
My God, those words, no web, no lights, no God, and then death, and still we each die. Another testament of man's history.
Yes, indeed.
On that sunrise, alone to face.
Yeah. But the stanza that really caught my eye was that who will catch my last breath, the spider or the firefly? That brings a lot of different things to mind, to me anyway. The spider being a predator, or something, meaning maybe she dies an unnatural death, and the firefly being more like an angel, more of a natural death. That's what I got from that stanza. So I thought that was kind of cool, but very dark as well. What do you think, Glenn?
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool, your analogy there. Because Yeah, that is a dark ending. That's the way you put it. It's pretty cool, actually. I feel that with what she brought, as I told her, that life is what we make of it, and hopefully along the way we try to do good, to not let others down, especially ourselves, because that's actually very easy to do, because we can be our own worst critic with how we feel about ourselves and all the expectations we put upon ourselves. And as I said, there's always hope for change, because it's never too late to strive for happiness within, and also with what we give out into the world, because, her write definitely touches on fear and death, but also life. And, her response back to me was, she said, I nailed the poem, and she agrees with what I said. I think that when we give without motive, we are the most happiest, and that's true. You should always just be able to give in life with no expectations, because if you are given with the expectation of what's in it for me, then you're actually just being selfish.
Yep.
So you should just always give without expectations. Just give to give, and to just give to be kind. To just try to spread some kindness, make give somebody a laugh. Don't make it all about what's in it for you.
Yeah.
Bottom line. But yeah, your analogy of the ending, that's actually pretty freaking cool. Because, sometimes there's certain people that we do let into our life, or the way we live our life. It can also indicate of how our life at that moment will go. Because sometimes if you have certain people in your life that only bring the negative aspects, then that will affect certain aspects of your life too, as to how you live it and how you move on your daily, your daily life, with the fear and with what may come. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool, because the end is no web, no light, no God. Yeah. And I catch that the first time when I commented. So yeah, there's a lot of different aspects there that speaks of the dark side of death, and possibly letting the wrong person in. So, hell yeah. Now that you brought that to my attention, I see that more clearer.
Sometimes I can get deep, but usually I'm pretty shallow.
You're shallow. You're funny.
I don't think so, Steve. If you were shallow, you wouldn't go through all these poems and try to find more meaning of what the writers meant.
Exactly.
Yeah, just playing.
Yeah.
Chilling.
Killing and chilling.
Yeah. So I know we.
Well, you have time for your poem, and then we can close up.
Yeah.
You can share your second one.
This is one that I wrote a while ago that I never thought I would share on the air.
Uh-oh. To what poet does it go to?
It's about death.
Oh.
And something we were talking about the other day on one of the shows, how our therapist said that bad memories are easier to recollect because there's more powerful emotions attached to them.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night, Joseph.
Yeah. And it's called Bad Memories Are Strong. I wrote this 11 months ago. Why is it that bad memories are just pop into my head without warning, at work, at dinner, in bed? It takes no energy, no effort at all. Hey, look at that puppy. Bad memories I recall. The 7th grade incident. My grandmother writhing in pain due to kidney cancer. My other grandmother saying how bad lung cancer is, so delirious, didn't know it was her that had it. My grandfather shaking his head no when he unconsciously realized that we were pulling the plug. My father telling my mother he was dying just hours before he passed. Our son leaving us just 3 short days after he came into our lives. These bad memories come easily, no trouble at all. Ah, look at that kitten. Bad memories I recall. Good memories take effort, need to concentrate. Bad memories come easily, the memories that I hate. End poem.
This is very true of all psychology, because you can't just throw away the past. It's always going to recur somewhere in your head if you're a conscious person. And that's the answer to your question. And the bad memories, like you said, yeah, they stand out the most because what goes on usually, that we have normal days in which tragic things do not happen, like the loss of our father or the loss of one's children or the loss of one's relatives. So there's a part of the psyche which actually has room for those memories to keep living on within you as you progress ever forward into life. And hopefully, if it's restrained to the right level, don't reach a state of Lou Gehrig's disease. On a brighter note, you're not showing any of the symptoms now, Steve, from Lou Gehrig's.
Yeah. But I feel that I'm the luckiest man. I'm sorry, I can't. I'll go wrong.
You'll go that way?
No. Did you want to comment on?
Why? What were you going to say for yourself?
Well, I was just doing a Lou Gehrig speech.
Oh,
right
yeah?
now I feel like I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, yeah, we were talking about this last night on the mortuary with Joseph, and it was something that we actually talked about to our counselor a while back, that it is more easier to focus on the bad memories associated with that person because the memories, the bad memories are more stronger. So that's why the mind focuses on the negative more so than the good. And you got to try to find a way to channel that energy in a different way. It's hard, though, because, it's like I told you, I prefer being isolated in the house because it seems like the second I step foot out of the house, I can look around and I start to feel weird because I could look at something and start to feel negative feelings like this is, I look at this thing and I can easily start feeling depressed, or I go backwards to something I think about. So if I'm controlling my environment, then I control what I'm letting in as well. So I guess that's the key as well when it comes to thinking about loved ones or looking at something that has beauty to it. Try to control your environment, try to control your thoughts, so that way maybe you don't have only the bad emotions that come in. And I know that they are stronger, I know. Because when we were talking last night, even in the mortuary, your grandfather, when he was passing away, your aunt, she was one in charge of his affairs, and she was the one who decided it was time to pull a plug. But the thing is, you and Uncle Mark were the only ones to notice that as we were saying the final prayer that he was shaking his head no. And I do remember your Uncle Mark saying, do you see that? Do you see that? He's shaking his head. He's saying no, but nobody listened.
Yeah.
So I can understand how that would be a very strong memory to replay constantly. Because if maybe somebody would have listened, maybe your grandfather would have had a little bit more time given. Because as he's shaking his head, I don't know how that goes. Because if the plug was decided to be pulled, but he was shaking his head, that meant that he was still lucid enough to understand what's going on and to realize that death is now coming in the moment, ahead.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know. That's a tricky one.
I often think of that myself.
I know. We've talked about that a lot.
You're the good
then,
son, Stephen, why you don't forget them. Someone else with the same problems, they might just leave on loved ones or their own family members after the point of being deceased into not even that part of the conscious mind of the psyche where their memories live on from the very fact that they were significant enough to be there.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah.
I'll just close with saying that, when you're talking about your father, that goes with what we've been saying in a lot of different ways, that when your time is coming, because the things he was saying in those final hours indicated that he knew the time was coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's a funny thing how the mind and the body just know that death is coming. Because it's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but, yeah. all the things that were said indicated he knew. Powerful thing.
Yeah.
To have that power to know that your time is coming. So yeah, the write is very deep, very profound. I actually forgot that you wrote this. You wrote this last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if at this time last year when you wrote it we were talking to our counselor about that. Hopefully we were.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because I just remember our recent conversation with him.
Yeah.
And him saying that that's why, because those emotions are more strong.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess I will start making announcements here so that way you can give the spiel for other shows coming up.
Okie doke.
Because we've been busy today actually getting things ready for next week too. Because we're terrible. We've got our shows mapped out into April. We've got all of February and all of March mapped out. So now we're just ready to go week by week and take it as it comes. I just want to say thank you to our callers, Deb and Raz, for calling in, and of course reading. And then of course Jess, Gran, and Heavenly Angel were on the board, and we read from them as well. And Bella's on the board, and we read from her. And then of course we also read from Philip Poet, M.W. Steigers, and June Johnson. And then from you, and then from me. I just want to say for tonight, thank you everybody who did participate and was on the board and called in and took part of the show.
Gabby.
Yep.
It's up to you to say the rest.
Up to me to say the rest. Tomorrow night is the Movement of Sound at 7 p.m. Eastern. Poetry written to Nirvana songs. And I didn't think I had one. I like Nirvana. But
You know you're right. You know you're right.
But I actually pulled one out of my ass today.
You did, yeah, because last night you were too tired, but then you pulled it out. I'm still working on mine. I have mine in my draft because I hate how it keeps looking, so we'll see.
Just keep pushing on it.
Yeah.
Keep pushing on it. So, yeah, songs from Nirvana we're writing to. Then Saturday. Saturday's going to be fun. We're doing something a little different for Saturday this week.
Yeah.
Terrible pickup lines. The episode, Kate, lovingly titled How Your Father Picked Up Your Mother? Is that what you said? Yeah.
How I Picked Up Your Mother.
Yeah, How I Picked Up Your Mother. That's right. Got some interesting ones for that, that's for sure. We found some that we couldn't use because they were a little too over the top. So.
Well, no, we could go over those Saturday in the call because we won't be putting them on the board. We'll be saying them in the call.
I'll read them in the call because the call will be rated R. But yeah, that's not something that we wanted to put on the All Poetry site.
Well, we were worried as well the kind of rights we would get because some of them are really out there.
Yeah, I can read some of the lighter ones.
Yeah, because tonight's PG-13.
I know. I can read some of the lighter ones. Like the first one is a light one. Are you a 90-degree angle? Because you are looking right.
Looking tight.
Right, looking tight. Do you like sales?
Full circle.
Okay. Do you like sales? Because if you're looking for a good one, clothing is 100% off at my place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to shop like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. My love for you is like diarrhea. I can't hold it in.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Sister to put laugh out loud on the board. You must be Lucky Charms because you look magically delicious. Yeah, you think these would work, right?
No,
Yeah,
not
like
really.
the prize over the rainbow.
Are you in the outfield? Because you're an angel.
Yeah, that's more of a sweeter one. That's okay.
And, of course, rated the best pickup line ever from Joey on Friends. Yeah. How you doing?
Well, yeah, actually, Heavenly Angel wrote to that one.
Yeah, I know. Good thing I have my library card because I'm checking you out.
Yeah.
And everything else that's on books.
Yeah. I'll say I'll read one more and then I'll get to next week.
Yeah.
Pick up lines for old people. This one says, Grandpa says, "Hey baby, you better call Life Alert because I've fallen for you and I can't get up."
Other than Lifeline, who else is going to keep his heart on life support?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. So next Tuesday is the next mortuary.
Yeah.
And we did change that actually because we're having some issues for Edward Scissorhands. So we have Beetlejuice, another good Tim Burton film.
Yeah.
This next week is Tim Burton / Danny Elfman week. So Beetlejuice, there are like 9 quotes I think up there.
Yeah.
The contest is up. Should be a fun time. Beetlejuice is a good movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. The trailer's up there. Enjoy. Next Wednesday, since like I said, it is Tim Burton and Danny Elfman week. Tim Burton has some very profound quotes that we have found, and we are going to post those up tonight for everybody to take a look at and write to. And then, do you want me to go into next Thursday?
Yeah.
Next Thursday, Movement of Sound will be Danny Elfman. Mostly the music from Edward Scissorhands, along with some of his other stuff. Maybe even mix a little Oingo Boingo in there.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Sounds
It's a dead
like
man's
one of the
family.
last orchestrated composers of this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long is the last song?
Yeah. Danny Elfman, he did a lot of musical scores for Tim Burton.
He did. Yeah.
So.
He did Nightmare Before Christmas, right?
Yes.
He did, of course, Edward Scissorhands. I think he did Corpse Bride.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still got to do our research on that one to get that one going for next Thursday.
Who'd have thought the lead singer from Oingo Boingo could write such profound instrumental music?
Beautiful.
It is. He does very well. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm leaving on a jet plane to Anoka now. But then I would not avoid the coronavirus.
Yeah. All right, so, hon, you want to play us out?
Well, yeah, I will play the same song that opened the show because for Wednesdays I have the same opening song and closer. So, yeah.
Little Beethoven.
A little Beethoven to play us out.
Yep.
And then we go sneak off to dinner.
Yes, finally.
Roll over,
Rickety.
Beethoven. Roll over, Beethoven.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, I'll say good night. And, of course, don't forget Nirvana tomorrow. Moving us down.
Yep.
Good night, America. With the lights out, it's not less dangerous.
Good night.
Good night. And I will play us out.
All right.
They're killing a swan with those violins.
All right. And that's the end of another successful show.
Yeah.
Like Elvis said, if the AM dial becomes too much static, just go to the bathroom and read.
Go to the bathroom and read. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems to be like a guy thing, go to the bathroom and read. I never understood that.
I don't really do it anymore.
Well, no, you do your reading on your phone.
Yeah.
So it still is a form of reading.
I guess. All right. Thanks for hanging with us, Raz. We're going to hit it. We got to get some dinner.
Thanks for having me. You all have a good night.
You
Good
too.
night.
Good night.